Alright, today we're going to work on repotting a couple plants that are ready to get put up into 4-inch pots. First one we're going to start with is the Paraiso Verde. Now this is one of our ones from tissue culture, and what's unique about these is they kind of keep this really skinny stem at the bottom, and then almost like a full plant grows at top of it. So what we do with these is we go ahead, carefully get it out of the soil, knock a little bit of that off. I will take the bottom leaves that are underneath that first growth point and just peel those back. Careful not to damage the arrow roots that are up there. So we'll probably go from that range and that. Now I know that seems funky because you're left with what now seems like half the plant you had before. It's not going to be any kind of issue long term. It actually is going to really benefit things. So we'll get, I don't know, a little bit of soil in here to get started. This is our standard mix. It's a little less chunky than normal as it is summertime here and everything is drying out super fast. So I've went with a little denser soil that's going to hold moisture just a little bit longer. So a little bit too much there. Yeah, that should be good. A little less. So we'll start in that range. Now I'll just tuck those aerial roots down in. Those will root quickly. Now with this soil being a little bit more dense, I won't pack it quite as tight, just for the first while so we don't get any rot or any issues like that. Take, water it in. There you go. And the reason I do that, you could plant it and leave that whole plant exposed and do some sort of moss pole or stake it up, and that bottom section will thicken up eventually and be okay. I do it like this because you had that original root ball, and when you remove those leaves and plant those aerial roots that were above the soil line, you're eventually just going to form basically two root balls. So it slows down your growth a little bit, cuts your plant in half, but you're going to have a really strong root system on that, and it's going to be an amazing plant. So same thing, Thai constellations. As you can see, this was one that was kind of leggy when we started it. And we have a big aerial root exposed that'll root very quickly. The second aerial root down has already rooted into the soil, and then we have a root ball below that. So what I would do with something like this, pretty much exactly the same as a Paraiso Verde. I knock a little bit of soil off. I leave most of it intact because I really want to damage the roots as little as possible. So the more soil you try to take off, the more damage you're going to do. Even if it's not visible damage, it's better just to leave those roots kind of intact. So we'll start with a little bit, we'll measure, see how deep we want to be. I'll probably be somewhere in this range because I don't want to go too high on the stem because I don't want the stem just sitting there in damp soil, but I want to get that first aerial root covered. Something like that, probably good. You can see. And it will still for a little while until that top aerial root really takes and starts to push out secondary roots. It's still gonna be a little floppy, which is not really gonna cause any issues. You could do a little bamboo stake if you wanted to. I don't really see the need to, but kind of a personal preference. So that's those two for today. Thanks for watching, and check out Orange Lake Nursery.